Hello, everyone. You're seeing or hearing two of me in two places, but I'm only in one place. I'm in the upside upright world instead of the upside down that I get with my iPad. How are you doing, Russ?
I'm good, thanks, mate. I'd like to say hello to the one person who probably will watch this back. His
Oh,
name's
one person.
Alonzo.
Yeah, Lonzo. Probably watch it back. See what he missed out on.
Yes, he's got better things to be doing tonight, so no Alonzo for us.
And making money. Trump so
Making money,
famous.
making dollar, spending that dollar on whatever he spends it on.
So is there anything in the wrestling world that's caught your eye this week, Russ?
No, because you should have told me what to watch. You tell me. I'm coming in fresh.
Well, we've been here. We'll just jump straight to SmackDown here.
SmackDown.
I can give an
What happened
image
on
to
SmackDown?
just a second. No, it's not giving me the option. There it is. Why did I switch it? I just switched it. There we go.
Super. Roman Reigns.
Who do you think Roman Reigns was dialing up there?
Hmm. Oh God, who was he dialing up? I have no idea.
Give us a funny answer.
Um, Goldberg. I don't know. Oh, no, Seth Rollins, maybe.
No, they talked to Seth Rollins. It would be the wise man.
Oh, Paul Heyman.
Yeah, Paulie dangerously got called by Roman,
Oh
and
yeah, and he
guess
didn't. He's changed his number or something.
well they said it was people speculated it's because his phone got destroyed by the bad line, but I don't know. We'll find out probably tomorrow what's going on with that. But they're sort of member, and they got a new member on the bad bad
Bad line.
line, bad blood.
The bad line.
And look how much bigger the bad line gets.
Oh, I think I saw this. This is what's his name? Yeah, that guy. Can't think of his name. What's his name? Tony. Bear with me.
Bronson Reed,
That's the
hailing from
one.
Australia, which you can look at him and guess what he is.
Australian. No, some kind
He,
of
he
Polynesian island.
yeah, yeah, Pacific Islander as
Yeah.
they call most of them anymore. So he's in relation somewhere to Tongans and the Samoans, all similar bloodlines.
Clearly.
But
So he's in a bad line now, is he?
yeah, he's in a bad line, and
No, he needed something
he
to do.
and so that's their fifth member. It was weird because they kept showing who would be the there was everybody I seen online was doing four. I'm like, there's five people, and They're five people. You can't have war games with four people.
So you think Seth Rollins is going to be the fifth member of the other team?
Yep, I think we're to get what I kind of was hoping we'd get this summer at SummerSlam,
Mm.
but I think we might get something very nice and end up getting a new version of a shield. The nice shield that just takes out all the bad guys because you got like dozens of these factions and like none of them do shit. So
Hmm.
you need one that does something because you just have the bad line that comes out and all they do is just interrupt a match standing out there.
Yeah,
That's
I
what happened.
used to enjoy it when they used to have the factions actually fight each other for whatever reason.
And on Monday, yeah, it's Solo Sokoa come out when Rollins was having the best of Bronson Reed,
Yeah.
like his third or fourth match against the guy.
Mm. So is
But
Bronson Reed going to change his name to something more island specific?
probably,
I hope so. Otherwise, it'll all be for nothing.
but most of them just have weird names. You got like Solo now.
Yeah,
Roman
that's
Reigns
just
is
from
it?
Star Wars.
Roman Reigns. You don't have a name. But even Jimmy and Jay, it's like those aren't really Samoan names. You got the Uso part of it, but they're
Jimmy and Jay Uso.
but all this started about I don't know about 8 weeks ago now when Bronson Reed did like six tsunamis in the corner to Seth Rollins, which made him go out and get whatever body part he was to get fixed anyway since he had a long run, lots of title defenses, being what a champion should be, defending your belt. But this was preceded. It's funny. It was like I think it's only like 1 week or 2 weeks. If you know Ben from On the Stoop, and
Mm.
sometimes he would hop on with Full Nelson, and I'm sure he joins Tom on his lead show. But he was saying because he really liked him, and he was saying due to his appearance or lack of appearances that he was a switch wrestlers, which Bronson Reed went on this run.
Mm.
First is it was Seth Rollins, then him and the other big fucker.
Hmm.
They went toe to toe. Strowman went through car hoods, went through roofs of cars. I mean, jumping in dumpsters, jumping off stuff 15 foot high.
Mm.
It says 330 there, but he looks like he weighs way more than 330
I'd say he weighs more than that.
because they had
I'd
like
say he's nearer
Yokozuna
400 than 3.
because they had like Yokozuna at like 450. Then I think at one point they actually went to his real weight, which was like 635. But
Yeah, I mean, I'd say
Bronson,
he's closer to 400 than 300.
yeah, he's a big beefy fucker. I want to see him. It sucks he's on the same side as the Samoan werewolf because that would be a good storyline to have because you got the Samoan werewolf that can do moon assaults for fun and It's amazing how agile that guy is for
Yeah,
three whatever he weighs.
definitely.
But they haven't done much with him yet. I think they kind of ruined him because they had that one tag match where it had him and the tribal chief in there. Or I guess
Mm,
well, old tribal chief. I guess he works for the new tribal chief. Works for
mm,
Solo, but they had him in a tag match against Roman, and like all the backstory stuff was they're like hold on and wait until those two squared off, but they ended up screwing it up and doing it in a tag match.
mm.
But I think that would be a pretty good match going on. Good feud. But now we have the tribal chief, Roman Reigns,
Mm,
doing all they can to get Seth Rollins on their team.
mm.
And he's basically like, if I was the last person on earth, I still want to go on Roman's team. He was talking about how bad it hurt him not to be able to go and be there with Sami Zayn and the Uso brothers. He was like pounding his chest and stuff on Raw. But
No, it would be interesting if it was Seth Rollins. It could be quite enjoyable. I think it'll be a good match, regardless, whoever the fifth man is.
I don't know who it's gonna be. I originally thought the fifth member of the Bad Line would be the boss.
Not The Rock, no. The Rock shouldn't be wrestling anymore. Tired of it.
He's he's going to, and what sucks is I think on January 6th when they start off with Raw on Netflix, I think we're gonna get somebody that should have been retired a good 12 years ago now, and John Cena. I don't know why he's coming back for a few shows. Supposed to be on WrestleMania. It's like, why do they have him taking roster spots? He can just stay out and make TV like Barack. I mean, Cena's body's flimsy anyway.
Yeah, but they want the first one on Netflix. They want obviously the biggest characters they can get.
Yeah, and they want like the permanent ones. They want Cody. They want for some reason CM Punk to be on there.
Why was wrong with CM Punk, Tony?
I just think it's weird being him one trying to kind of lead a brand with Roman Reigns and Cody.
What's wrong with CM Punk, Tony?
I just don't like him.
Why? What's your beef?
I don't
What's
know.
he done to you?
To me, I wasn't really watching wrestling during his period on WWE, but it just seemed to me like a whole bunch of people were just flocking to him because he did MMA poorly at MMA. But I
Yeah, but
just
he wasn't
remember
wrestling before he did MMA.
I know that, but you just had so many people flocking to that pay per view. I remember neither one of my cousins, which makes more money than the Social Security I get, but I had to pay. I had to pay the $90 for the UFC to see him get his ass kicked. But I don't know. I just don't like his attitude. I don't like that he can quit a company whenever he wants to. And for some reason, he goes to AEW, gets in the fight with all their bosses multiple times.
Well,
Still
you,
able to stay on the roster somehow.
you can say on that, Tony, but at the end of the day, I mean, they obviously there's two sides to every story. They're obviously the people who were in charge of AEW did
Yeah,
something to him. It wasn't just a one-way thing. They proved that. There was backstage issues between him and certain other individuals. You got to stand up for yourself. You just can't get walked all
No,
over.
I'm not getting for that, but it's more against AEW for just keeping him along when they
Well,
kept
exactly. I mean,
fighting with him.
you have to blame Tony Khan for that. He should have put a stop to that in the first instance.
I mean, you had him getting in physical altercations with
Well, yeah, none of them. They
when
wouldn't have
they
been able to do that in WWE. No chance.
uh,
That would never have
you
happened in WWE.
we'll go to the name Tom used, and I like for him the Hardly Boys. My cousin, my cousin has a deer tattoo with their like little towels and shit that they use. But I just I don't think those two are that good of wrestlers.
Who's that?
Move the two guys from Ring of Honor, the guys that are part of the elite at AEW.
Oh, the Jackson brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
I mean, they're good. They're just spot wrestlers, really. I mean, you can't argue with the work. I mean, they look very good in the ring, but all they do is spots, and yeah, it does get a bit annoying after a while. But you can't fault their workmanship or their.
no, but by the time they were AEW ate up Ring of Honor, it's like they were pretty much not doing much, not doing many matches, not doing as many crazy moves or anything. They became pretty bland, and they
Mm.
pick them up, and
Problem is, Tony, I
they
think tag team wrestling as a whole is on the decline
yeah,
in the
yeah, it
whole of
is.
wrestling. There's just not those teams are just not there anymore.
But at this point, you would figure they would have split the two up.
Yeah, but I think, as I said, like tag team wrestling is in a slump. It's you could easily put it back to like even before like the 90s, like because used to have teams that used to go to territories. They used to go from one territory to another, to another, to another. These
Yeah,
days, it's all manufactured in house by these wrestling companies. It's not organic anymore. That's what I'm saying.
it's crazy. You mentioned the regionals, but it's crazy how many of them were there in the mid South because you had the Blade Runners, Ultimate Warrior, and Sting.
Hmm.
One day we'll have to watch that when Alonzo's around because fucking Sting and Warrior were huge. Warrior probably was another 75 pounds than what he was when he was in WWF, and
Mm.
just a massive fucker. Just you could tell they're consuming all the steroids they could for their weightlifting. But that was the thing of Mid South is like they were either football players or they were fucking weightlifters. It's
Yeah,
like
they were just bodybuilders. That's all they were. They had no interest in wrestling whatsoever.
and one crazy guy with a 2x4 that liked to say ho all the time.
He wasn't so
What's that?
bad. He was
Oh,
over. He was over.
I love Duggan, and it's funny there mid South for a while they would call him Dugan,
Dugan.
but well, like you said, tag team's dead. You probably have 60 female wrestlers in the main two shows and probably another 30 or more in NXT.
Hmm.
But they compete in all three. They compete. They just have one tag team champion for all three of them. So you can have NXT champions. You can have it in SmackDown or Raw.
Well, it's going to be harder for women's wrestling because obviously that didn't. well, it was a thing, but it wasn't really a thing until God saw the last sort of 10 years or so. You've had more of the women's wrestling on a top tier level. But as I say, with
Uh,
the tag team wrestlers, it's just a dying art that's just not. It's you're never going to get the organic thing of two guys coming together, going from territory to territory, like the Road Warriors or anyone like. You're never going to get that anymore.
yeah, and I had so many. I had Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. In the '80s, it's like they really. Maybe it was because of the territory they moved around or whatever, but I just think they had very good tag teams there. Early '90s and WWF, you had good tag team, but I mean, basically since you had Mr. McMahon become a character, probably the Montreal Screwjob is about the time that tag teams kind of disappeared.
Yeah, you don't even get like Survivor Series matches anymore, really, to that extent.
Yeah, it's these they all have the men and women's war games in the cages, which Seth Rollins was dying to have Bronson Reed in there. We'll see if he gets his wish or not and decides to join forces with old Roman, his old buddy from the Shield. But 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 here you can see t- tons of women. At some point, it's like Cargill's still not good by herself, but at some point they have to get her away from Bianca.
Oh,
What,
I
what
have
do
to at some point, yeah. They'll have to let her branch out on her own, but while she's in a tag team, at least she can try to learn something.
It's weird they delayed her coming in by like 9 months at the time she finally came, and it's like, oh, she's only came back good enough where she can be in a tag team.
Mhm.
It's like, who are these guys training these people? They have to be some people copied it back there.
Well, it used to be Finley, didn't it?
Yeah,
But obviously, either she's just not taking in what's being said, or she's just not a capable wrestler. She looks the business, but if you can't do it in the ring, they won't have her around forever.
yeah. It looks like she needs to go be a bodybuilder. The fitness is what they call it now. Most of the women they have bodybuilders, but they have those fitness deals where they're just still ripped, but just not where the women are taking testosterone and just have gigantic muscles that
And
you
that's the
know
thing, though.
are
Even if
enhanced.
you may be ripped, but that doesn't mean you're actually physically strong.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that way. Good, good example. My dad. We'll say it's the only bad thing he probably did fatherly, but he knew I would just watch TV. But I'd be like 3, 4 years old, and he would go for 45 minutes to an hour and go lift weights. Never looked bulky at all, but he would bench press 355.
Mm.
Opposite, my uncle would take steroids and bulk up, but my dad was the one that just had a ton of strength.
Mm. It's
And
like
when
you
my
see the
dad,
world's strongest man. None of them people are muscular or ripped or anything. They're just big, solid guys.
they're kind of just square guys that are like kind of pungy. You can go back to Bronson Reed because here you go. I mean, he looks like what a what they look like in the world's strongest man.
Fat guys.
They're really not fat though. They're like pretty much solid muscle. They might have like a layer on fat on top of their muscle, but they're.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. He's not like you would say ripped or anything, but obviously he can lift 600 pounds. That's quite a lot.
I mean, that's
Anyway, come on. Next topic. Come on, we've been talking about this for like half an hour.
next topic would be I guess we'll finish it out on Raw. You still don't have the fifth member of the bloodline.
Hulk Hogan, fifth man.
Fifth man Hulk Hogan.
Hmm.
One thing from SmackDown, real quick. You have this because they have so many women. I should have got a photo of the belt, but now they've added the U.S. belt of women, which they need. They were rumors a few months ago that we would get this in the Intercontinental, so I'm still wondering if we'll get the Intercontinental because they easily have the women to do this, but I wonder if they'll have Tiffany win this instead of cashing in and winning against Nia Jax or Liv Morgan. But I think that's will be interesting. And you really didn't have much else besides. Let's see if I can find it here.
Tiffany Stratton's not winning that.
You don't think so?
Nope.
It's weird. She was like beating everybody, then all of a sudden they just started having her lose to Mrs. Glow, the Uso's wife, Naomi.
Hmm.
But yeah, these guys going head to head. I I kind of hope Priest wins it because just I don't know. Walter just doesn't have any personality, and
And you
now
think
that
Damian Priest does?
I think he does. I
No.
think before the wrestling got good, and they just have the women wrestling that was good. He was very good on Raw.
No, I think his title
Didn't they?
reign was a complete bust. It was a bomb. I didn't
Didn't,
enjoy it. No, I don't. It's just putting it back on him just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I like him, but I don't know. I'm sure Gunther will probably still retain. I think he's maybe has two title defenses over 100 days.
Oh, that's what they were moaning about Cody Rhodes. He hasn't um defended his title in 2 months, is he? Something like that.
Yeah, but to me it's crazy. You're 8 days away from Survivor Series, and you only have this match and this one as announced. I mean, you have the bad line versus the bloodline, but hasn't been
Mm.
announced because don't have a fifth member yet. But that was pretty much all from Raw and SmackDown. Not too much happened on NXT because they took too many of the male wrestlers away and they just have the females.
Mm.
They have very good ones, and the week after Survivor Series, it should be a good one because it's their Iron Man competition where they just have four people going as long as they can for the chance to fight for the championship. So that should be entertaining.
Should be.
But but other than that, that's pretty much all from the week of Raw on SmackDown and NXT. And other wrestling news, you have Mrs. McMahon, which I think was always underrated on her TV time. I thought she was very good when she was on TV. I always thought she did a good job, but now she's a go work for Trump as the education secretary.
Well, that was obviously always going to be the case. She was in his last office, wasn't she? She was part of his last run as
You know, she
president. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me that she would come back and do a role there.
and bigger role this time, education. Maybe every school gets a wrestling ring, and they'll develop young wrestlers.
Attitude era in schools.
That'd be interesting. And it's still weird that we're at this point now
Teach
where
the kids
yeah,
about the ruthless aggression.
yeah. But you have this point where they're still kind of promoting the signs. At least on Raw, every week they'll sit there and they'll show all of the shows that they commentators can jibe each other on because they have their names on there. SmackDown, you got Corey Graves sign showing up, which I don't know who'd bring a Corey Graves sign because I don't like the guy. He's finally became a good commentator, but never a good wrestler, and it took him forever to actually be worthy of being on TV.
Mm.
But what random wrestling topic do you want to talk about for the next 20, 25, 35 minutes?
Oh, I have no idea, Tony. Give me some inspiration.
You mentioned territories earlier. You
Oh,
can have your talk on those if you want, or we can go to tag teams since we brought up tag teams.
who's your favourite tag team of all time, Tony? That would be interesting.
It was probably either the Midnight Express or the Rock and Roll Express. I really liked them. And the
Interesting.
WWE just never really had anymore. You had the Hardy Boys, but that was two guys really high on drugs, jumping from way too high of distances, 20 foot onto somebody on a table or desk or whatever craziness they would do.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I was always LOD will always get a big pop out of me anytime I saw them, whether they were in like WCW or WWE. I always like Legion of Doom. I prefer obviously their WWF music, but I also like obviously being English. I like the British Bulldogs whenever they were on.
Yeah, yeah.
They were always good for a good match. Any of the matches they had with like the Killer Bees or the Rougeos or any team really. The Rockers used to like them. Didn't like what Shawn Michaels became because I always thought Marty Jannetty was a better wrestler, but that was just me. Heart Foundation, yeah, I like them as well.
Yeah, they were good. But they kind of go without saying because they were kind of big in the territories, and then they were big in WWF when they all got there. Uh,
I'm not sure if
uh,
what did yeah, Legion of Doom were in the AWA, weren't they? They were the only ones to win all three titles, weren't they?
yeah,
Good CV there.
I don't remember them in Mid South. They probably were there.
Oh, they probably
Uh,
were. They probably. Well, when did they start? Late 70s, early 80s, I'm guessing.
yeah, yeah, they probably had there.
They were probably went around all the territories really, but yeah, then they went to I think when they were first well known
And
NWA, I guess, and then
then going back to the Hearts and Anvil, where Anvil spent a good time in Mid South.
yeah.
And DiBiase was a good tag team guy, but once he went to WWE, they just stopped him from being in tag teams.
Well, not really, because he was with IRS towards the end of it. Yeah, won the tag titles.
It just what did you like think as a kid with the IRS? Because they try to like sell this thing, but
I just used to think it was funny. Used to have the $1 million man who's like got all this money and everything, and then you got the tax guy with him. I just used to think it was so funny. Even as a child, I kind of got it, the gimmick. It's just ironic that you've got a man with millions and millions and millions of dollars apparently, and then you've got the tax guy. He just he has to pay your taxes and stuff like that.
yeah,
I just
it was pretty weird.
they were a good team though. They were a decent team. I always, when they fought like natural disasters and some of the other teams they were fighting at the time. I just thought it was very funny. I like Ted DiBiase anyway. I've always thought he was a very brilliant character, and he was a good
He,
wrestler as well.
he and he developed most of that in the Mid South because it was like 80. He's WWF. He's there in 79 and 80 left for the territories. I guess Vince didn't think he was good enough or hulky enough.
Vince Senior, yeah.
No, the Vince Jr. Since he still had us play of what was going on in '81 because his dad that's basically when his dad kind of stopped doing stuff and Vince started learning on the job. Basically, it's not like just '83 when he gets control of a company that he
Mm.
had an influence. He had an influence before then.
I was yeah, he'd had influence, but yeah, not as much as he would when he was the owner, so to speak.
Yeah.
But no, I liked Ted DiBiase. I always thought he was a good hand. I mean, you could put him in any situation and he would get a decent match out of any wrestler he was wrestling at the time.
Yeah, my dad really liked him.
I've got his autobiography somewhere. One of the few I have actually bought.
My dad seemed to always be where he liked the wrestlers were obviously the ones that would hit mid south. Then you would see it on the NWA show or Mid Atlantic, and then they went to WCW. When they went from like mid south to WCW, he usually followed them around.
Hmm.
One tag team you left off Towers of Doom. My dad loved Sid, but who wouldn't love that body?
He's like a
I
prototype
mean,
wrestler, isn't he? Is like if you said to a computer or an AI, give me just a prototype of a wrestler, Sid would be the thing it would spit out, I think.
it's kind of like basketball. I've always thought that of LeBron James because he's 6'10". He weighs two. I think he got up to like where he was weighing 280. Then dropped down to like 265, and at 265 he started having nutritionalists and all that stuff following around, special cooks and everything. But to me, he was just like what you would mold out basketball player, especially one. He kind of messed with the boat because he would have been great in the late '80s. Like, can you imagine him being on the Pistons?
Mm.
He would have been great on the Pistons with Rodman and I can't think of his damn name now.
Oh yeah.
The one that fought everybody. Bird hated him. He probably still hates him.
Um. Hmm, hmm. Caught me on the fly, Tony. My basketball knowledge is not great, but oh yeah, I can't remember his name. It'll come. It'll come.
What's funny is they wouldn't let him coach in the NBA, I guess, because the violence history and stuff. But he coached the women, won like two or three WNBA titles, but they would just never give him a chance in the NBA.
Mm. Grant Hill? Are you thinking of, or
No,
before then?
it was before then.
I remember Grant Hill. He was a good player.
I can't search it because I
He'll just
got
screw up
both.
your whole thing. Your setup.
Uh, what the hell was his name? We'll have to come back to that one
We'll come
next
back
week.
to that.
But since we have war games coming up, what's some of your? We'll get to like your some of your favorite. We'll do that next week with your favorite Survivor Series pay-per-views. But we'll do what's some of your favorite gimmick things? Like,
Gimmick matches.
well, just like cage matches or elimination chamber,
Kennel from
battle
Hell match. That was my favourite.
battle dome. I mean, you got a lot to choose from.
Yeah, Kennel from Hell match. That was my absolute favourite.
I, I liked the original war games. That's why I picked one where you got Sid lifted up a guy. So Sid's so tall, he's just
Yeah, his
banging his
feet
head.
hit the top of the cage and he just fell on his
Yeah,
head. Yeah. Who was that? He did that too.
trying
Was
to
it Pillman,
remember.
was it? I can't
It,
remember.
mi- it might have been.
Yes, he picked him up for a power bomb, but yeah, his feet hit the top of the cage and he just landed straight on his head. I think
And
it
the
was Brian
great,
Pillman. I can't remember.
and the great thing about that one is you end up with the two towers of doom, and they're like, "Huh, you both win."
I need to watch more War Games ones because I haven't seen too many of them. I've, I haven't seen them to like. I've seen them once, but yeah, can't recall what happened in any of them. I remember the NWO one vaguely,
Yeah,
but yeah, most of the WCW War Games, I think I'm pretty oblivious to be honest.
they were pretty good. Of course, the Dusty Rhodes was good with coming up with different types of matches
Yeah,
because you'd have a bullwhip matches and stuff. He would like to do. I just
blindfold
never.
matches, great.
I, I just one I never liked is you have the strap matches, but you just can't do much because they didn't give you enough slack in the strap to.
Yeah, and you got to try to hit each corner. I think I saw one with Piper, one of the old ones. There
I,
was one with Hogan as well. It wasn't. Was it Hogan and Piper? I can't remember. And
it's
there was
it,
one with
it
Hogan, and it was yeah, it was just like the rules went completely out of. It wasn't WCW, so that probably says why. But yeah, the rules went completely out of the equation. I think he won the match and he hadn't touched all four corners or something. It was just chaos.
yeah. Yeah, it's weird because like WCW, I didn't remember having the four deals, but we had the one Alonzo did 4 months back or
Mm.
whatever, and you're sitting there touching the lights. And what's weird is like both people could light them up. So uh,
Although saying that CM Punk one we saw
yeah,
that was pretty good. Drew McIntyre, that was quite good.
but it was just weird to me that like both people could light up a bowl,
Mm.
which McIntyre didn't pick up.
Yeah, was that the old Judy
I,
Bagwell on a pole match?
I still can't believe he cost him three world championships and beating twice.
Hmm.
Then you look to those two fuckers stacked up against each other. I mean, Drew probably has a foot on him and probably 125 more pounds. It's like
Well, that's why CM Punk's the best in the world, Tony.
you'll never convince me of it.
I don't know where this. Yeah, I don't know where you get this thing about CM Punk. I don't know.
But it's just it's weird that he wasn't medically cleared, but he could go out there and fuck with Drew enough to cost him the titles. I mean, he had it on the cost him the title, which was weird how that suddenly became a triple threat. You figure it'd just be him versus whoever held the belt, but he,
Absolutely.
he had him cost him there. It seemed like that was all the foreign shows. They went on that run of having
Hmm.
all the foreign shows because you had like Canada, Puerto Rico, and Australia all in a row.
Hmm. I'll have to watch for next week. So I'll have to watch a couple of War Games ones, and then we can go through our favourites.
Yeah.
I didn't mind one. Well, there was a War Games in NXT. You know, remember it was the Undisputed Era versus Kevin Owens and some other guys. That one was pretty good. I did enjoy that one.
How did the fat Canadian do over there in NXT?
He did all right. I think his team won in the end because I think it was the Undisputed Era. They invaded Raw and just beat up Kevin Owens, and then they had a War Games on NXT, and Kevin Owens showed up for the other team. It was good. It was a good match. I think if I can find it.
Yeah, when NXT first started, it's like that's when I wasn't really. I would tune in and after 25 minutes see what was that happen on Raw.
Hmm.
I'm so glad those 25-minute monologues are gone.
Yeah. Do a less of them.
I mean, who wants to watch? You have 3 hours of wrestling, which is probably 45 minutes of commercials.
Hmm.
Then you have 25 minutes of this opening stuff before they had a match. So you're wasting a good hour of stuff when you could just get right to the wrestling.
It's storylines and everything else, isn't it? I mean, it was the same during the Attitude Era. It was like a lot of monologues to start the show off, and then
Yeah. But
get your
going
actual
back,
wrestling done.
another one I liked was the Penabi prison. I thought that was cool. What would have been cooler if they actually made it out of bamboo instead of metal. But
Punjabi prison match.
and the one I liked that they only did it once was that pit match. It had fuck
The pit match. Who was in that?
the barefooted one, the one that kept getting suspended or in trouble because of his drug use.
Hmm.
One that teamed up with Orton.
Oh, okay. Tell you what I did like in the old days, the shoot matches they had, you know, the one with Owen Hart in the Hart Dungeon with
Yeah,
Ken Shamrock.
yeah. I came across those the other day on Twitter. Somebody was last week. It was showing those.
And then they had a Lions Den match. Was that Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman, I think?
Probably
Yeah, those were good matches. Obviously, they were just made up to just look like
with
the Octagon, but
that black man would kill him.
you think Blackman would kill Ken Shamrock?
Yes.
No,
Come on, you don't think so?
no, I don't think so. I'm not sure if Steve Blackman, how good he was as a wrestling shoot type thing. Obviously, with his martial arts skills, yes, but once a wrestler has you on your back, you're finished.
Yeah. It's funny when I wrestled, like nobody could take me down.
Mm.
They would spend like a minute of the first round trying to take me down.
I think Ken Shamrock's quite strong enough to, but also, what was the other guy? The other Dan Seven as well. I mean, he had a wrestling background as well.
No, I mean, all those guys did because they just, that was kind of a thing. That's when martial arts was starting to come into it.
Mm.
I just wish you had able to see that basically the inventor of MMA, which would be Bruce Lee. I would like to see him wrestle. I had him go against a boxer, which that didn't make much sense. But
Mm.
he,
Yeah, but as I say, a striker is completely different from a wrestler. But that's why you say like most champions have got some sort of wrestling experience because it's just holds, and once you've got them
or,
off, once a boxer or a striker or a martial artist is off their feet, then they're in trouble.
yeah, that's why a lot of them learn judo or
Mm.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That seems like the main two they use because I mean judo is that's just using your weight to do whatever you want to with your opponent and
Hmm.
save your energy.
Yeah, you're right.
But I really missed like the early UFC before it had rules and weight divisions. And me, the weight divisions are nonsense because
Yeah, he's just used to any hard geese would just fight whoever was put in front of him. Really, that's the way it should be. Really, it was a tough man competition. That's essentially what it was back then.
yeah. But I didn't like it when it went modern and they had the weight classes because
Mm.
you would have somebody that walking around weight would be 180, 185. Then they would compete the belt at 145.
Mm.
Then the next day they're sitting there getting IV. They get back up to their normal weight,
Mm.
which they were supposed to make that illegal.
But it's like boxers, though, isn't it? It's like once you've had your weigh in and you've made your weight, you can go up as much as you want after that.
Yeah. I think there's a big push to move it to be on match day, so
I
you
think it
wouldn't
should
have.
be. I think it should be an hour before the actual. Well, a couple of hours before the actual fight itself, but that
But
doesn't
because
make any
that,
money.
that
So,
but because that's what they did in the height of boxing, that's what would happen.
well, it's fairer, but
Yeah.
then it doesn't make money. So,
Uh, But it never made sense to me. It's like McGregor's walking around at 180 pounds, but he goes fights for a 145
mm,
light middleweight or whatever the hell they
yeah,
call that
waste of time.
class. But that fight pit, I like that. I think because they just had two sides of it as a catwalk. But I think if you caged in the whole thing and just had like a foot and a half, 2 foot wide
Mm,
platform catwalk that you could walk the whole top. I think that could be pretty cool
mm,
moves
it's a good idea.
because the opponent could get up there with you and you could
Mm,
do whatever move off the
true.
catwalk. Let's see, trying to remember. I skipped over something on SmackDown, but in SmackDown, we'll have a new SmackDown tomorrow, so it doesn't matter too much.
I'll do some preparation for next week. Definitely, I will send me some topics over, and I can have a think.
Yeah. Then I'll let you know as soon as I list some more matches. You
Yeah,
just
when is
know the
Survivor Series?
backstory.
When is it?
It's next Sunday, and you only have the two matches announced.
Next Sunday, Sunday
Or
night, or
Saturday.
Saturday? I was going to say.
Saturday, sorry.
No, that's fine because it was Sunday morning here. So no, that's fine. I'll be up for that. But yeah, anyway, I've got a skedaddle. So
Yeah, but I was ready to end it anyway.
super. Yeah, hopefully
I'm,
we'll get into a rhythm from next week. I'll do some homework and
yeah,
we could talk about
uh,
a few other different things as well.
yeah. Plan on keeping it kind of like a 60 to 80 minute time frame.
Yeah, it's handy because obviously I've got to go to bed in a minute, mate, because it's getting late.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find some people that can join me. I keep mentioning it in the tweets. I need to start doing it more. Like
Mm.
direct message me if you wanna.
But like sometimes an hour's enough. You don't want to be on all night.
No, I mean I don't think I would want it much more than like a hour and a half unless it was like one of our topical shows or you just cover one topic the entire time.
Yeah.
Like your favorite 10 wrestlers or whatever. Well, one thing we'll have to do next week is we'll have to do my 6 pack of women since I don't think it's ever been officially announced.
Oh God, I can't wait.
It's got people from everywhere.
I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has. Right, let's
That's
go.
good night, everybody.
Thanks everyone. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Hopefully we have people that actually come and comment so I can put up comments.
Yeah, we need some viewer comments, some viewer questions.
But it's fun when it's just us, and it really doesn't matter when we do the watch-alongs because who cares who's watching or
Yeah,
just
we're just chatting
commenting.
anyway. It's absolutely fine.
So anyway, we'll catch you this time next Thursday, and we'll preview Survivor Series. They haven't done the war games as much. Oh,
Mm.
one thing I was gonna say is how Rhea they just like kicked on Rhea Ripley because she was a surprise fifth member, and she just goes out there and headbutts Liv Morgan and shouts war games. So
I
that
like
was
Rhea
a
Ripley.
that was a surprise of a week because they're acting like Ripley was gonna be gone for a while.
Hmm.
It's weird she just came back and had another weird injuries. Both her injuries have been weird. But anyway, everybody take care and we'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks a lot. See you later.